Have you ever wondered why your prayers sometimes feel unanswered, even when you're doing everything right? Could it be that God is answering, just not in the way you expected? In today's video on Prayer Decode, we're diving into the silent seasons, the delays, and the moments when heaven seems quiet. But what if those are actually divine setups in disguise? Stick around, because what you discover today might completely shift how you pray and how you wait. And if you're hungry for more spiritual insights like this, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next revelation we decode together. Have you ever felt invisible, even just for a moment? Like you were somehow fading into the background while the world around you keeps spinning, louder, faster, and more vibrant than you feel inside? I have. And chances are, if you're watching this, you probably have too. We scroll through highlight reels, watch others climb ladders we didn't even know existed, and quietly wonder, did God overlook me? Am I still part of His plan? But let me tell you something that might just breathe new life into your soul. You are not forgotten. You are never forgotten. Even in your quietest, most hidden moments, God saw you. He sees you now. You see, Psalm 8 isn't just a beautiful collection of words. It's a holy reminder that the creator of the galaxies didn't just stop at stars and oceans. He paused to make you, not randomly, not carelessly, but purposefully, intentionally, lovingly. I remember a night when I stood outside, staring at the sky. It was late. Everyone else was asleep. I had just spent an hour comparing my life to everyone else's, and I felt like I didn't measure up. I was worn out by my own expectations. But as I stood there, the sky so wide and full of stars, something clicked. God made all of that, and He made me too. The same hands that lit the stars gave shape to my life. And that truth, it shattered my shame. Psalm 8 says we are crowned with glory and honor. That isn't poetic fluff. That's identity. That's truth. You weren't made to blend in. You weren't created to shrink or question your value. You were made just a little lower than the angels imagined that. God didn't just see you. He designed you. He delights in you. But here's the hard part. It's so easy to forget this. It's easy to believe that if our names aren't trending or if our stories aren't dramatic, we must not be significant. Yet God's kingdom doesn't work on viral moments or popularity. It runs on faithfulness, on love, on trust. The stuff the world often overlooks is the exact stuff heaven celebrates. So let me ask you something gently. Have you spent too much time wishing your life looked like someone else's? Have you quietly convinced yourself that your voice doesn't matter, your story isn't worth telling, or your prayers don't carry weight? Because if you have, you're not alone. But you also don't have to stay there. God didn't make you to be a copy. He made you to be a masterpiece. And masterpieces aren't rushed. They're layered, brushed over again and again, shaped in silence, refined over time. That's you. That's your life. You are not forgotten. You are becoming. And maybe, just maybe, today is the day you stop measuring your worth by someone else's highlight reel and start remembering who actually wrote your story. God did. He doesn't just call you enough. He calls you beloved. He calls you chosen. He crowns you with glory and honor. So today, right now, speak this over yourself. I am God's masterpiece. Let that be your declaration. Not just for today, but for every time you feel small, unseen, or unworthy. Because the truth is, being known by God is far better than being noticed by the world. The applause of heaven will always outweigh the approval of man. You don't have to prove your worth. You only need to receive it. Let's go even deeper. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and thanked God not for what you hope to be, but for what He already sees in you? You are His creation. That's not just spiritual encouragement. That's eternal reality. The more we root our identity in Him, the more we stop striving for the world's validation. We stop chasing applause and start chasing purpose. We stop feeling behind and start walking in step with His grace. Comparison loses its grip. Fear starts to crumble. And we begin to live, not just exist, as reflections of God's heart. You don't have to be louder. You don't have to be better. You just have to be His. That's where freedom lives. That's where peace begins. So take a breath. Let go of the weight you've been carrying. The fear of not being enough. The guilt of not doing enough. The shame of not having enough. Lay it all down at His feet, right now, and pick up what He's been offering you all along. His love, His purpose, His peace, His presence. Because in Him, you are already home. You are already chosen. You are already enough. We often forget that spiritual strength doesn't always show up as loud declarations or dramatic miracles. It sometimes hides in the quiet obedience of the heart. When God told Elijah to stand on the mountain and wait for Him, there was wind, fire, and an earthquake. But God wasn't in any of those. He came in a still small voice. That lesson keeps echoing in my own life. We keep looking for big signs, hoping for obvious breakthroughs. But God might just be whispering through our daily trials, inviting us to trust Him even when it feels like He's silent. Our walk with Him is not about the size of our faith, but the direction it moves us. I've learned that even the smallest prayer, whispered in weakness, has the power to shake heaven when it's rooted in genuine surrender. One of the most profound shifts I experienced was understanding that waiting is not passive, it's active obedience. While waiting, God refines us not to punish, but to prepare. Joseph waited years in prison, not because God forgot him, but because God was shaping him into the man who could carry Egypt through famine. In my own journey, the seasons of waiting have felt like wilderness, but looking back, they were spiritual training grounds. God uses those silent spaces to develop what comfort cannot: resilience, humility, and an unshakable trust. So when we say we're waiting on God, we're really saying, Lord, I trust your timing more than my own understanding. Another lesson that reshaped my perspective is that miracles often follow movement. When the Israelites were fleeing Egypt, the Red Sea didn't part before they moved. It parted as they stepped forward. Sometimes we want God to move first, but He's waiting for us to take a step of faith. I've seen this pattern play out time and again. Old faith is rarely about having all the answers, but rather walking with confidence even when we don't. Our obedience unlocks God's provision. I found that every time I took a risk for His sake, whether speaking up, stepping out, or letting go, God met me with more than I expected, but never before I moved. Finally, God's promises are not limited by our circumstances. Abraham and Sarah were past their prime when God gave them a child. That tells me no delay, no detour, no dysfunction can cancel what God has decreed. He doesn't need perfect conditions to fulfill His plans. He only needs our willingness. That truth has liberated me from trying to be ready enough. The truth is, we'll never feel completely ready. But God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. And if He's called you, then your past, your pain, your limitations, they're not obstacles. They're the very tools He'll use to display His glory. Faith is believing that God can still write beauty out of brokenness, and that the final word over your life hasn't been spoken yet. Lesson to carry today. Don't let the world define what God already declared. You are not a mistake. You are not invisible. You are not falling behind. You are a masterpiece in progress, shaped by the hands of the One who formed the stars. So live like it, walk like it, pray like it, and love like it. because you are not forgotten. If this message spoke to something deep within you, if you felt a quiet confirmation or even a challenge, then that's no accident. Remember, God often hides His greatest work in the most unexpected places, including your own story. Don't rush the silence, and don't underestimate what God can do in your waiting. At Prayer Decode, we believe every prayer carries power and every delay holds purpose. So, if you're ready to keep growing in faith and uncovering the mysteries of how God moves, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, keep listening, keep believing, and keep decoding the power of prayer. At Prayer Decode, we believe every prayer carries power and every delay holds purpose. So, if you're ready to keep growing in faith and uncovering the mysteries of how God moves,